For planning for targeted teaching in AT3, I incorporated a standard of UDL by providing multiple means of engagement and expression. CAP in 2020 stated that UDL is the framework of designing and delivering flexible approaches to teaching and learning that addresses student diversity. My classroom has a wide range of student ability, and differentiation is essential for supporting both lower and higher ability students, as it allows myself as an educator to tailor my instruction to diverse learning needs and promote optimal growth for all learners, as Tomlinson said in 2014. My classroom is Year 6, and I have 2 ASD students, a student with anxiety, 2 with dyslexia, executive functioning difficulties, processing speed issues, and 3 of gifted ability. So I need to make sure that I am, 1, challenging my gifted students, but also making sure to support my students of lower ability. My construct that I developed was designed to make sure that I'm meeting the needs of those students. So making sure that I'm giving them the best opportunity to achieve success, but also making sure that I'm challenging students to extend beyond what they're currently capable of. So my construct is writing narrative text, and I didn't make any adjustments after my meeting with my peers, as I thought it was specific and engaged enough good qualities throughout what makes a well thought of and well made narrative piece. The learning progressions throughout this ensure that each level stacks upon the previous one. And Tomlinson elaborates on how teachers can differentiate instruction by content of what the students learn, process by how they learn it, and product of how they demonstrate learning, and the importance of flexible grouping and student choice. So as you can see here, the expectations of what a student can do changes depending on what level they sit at. For example, a student considered to be at the level 5 or the expert should be able to create an original narrative that masterfully incorporates figurative language, whereas a student of level 1 in the novice can write a simple narrative with basic features. So the learning progressions are linked to ensure that students know the roadmap or the pathway to their own success. Thus, they can build upon their previously achieved goals and progress their way up the ladder. This ZPD grouping was then determined via where they currently sit, but also following as the previous slide said, of what they're ready to learn next along with their peers. So Vygotsky's concept of the ZPD and scaffolding is foundational in understanding how to support diverse learners. All of these students are along their own individual journey, and it's important to make sure that we're differentiating to maximise what they are learning, and so we give them the best opportunity to understand that and progress forward. So my students were grouped in their ZPDs with the other students that displayed the 50-50 method or the checkered method of correct versus incorrect responses or targets achieved throughout their previous test. This showed me what students are ready to learn next and what their current ability is, and then grouped accordingly. It was important to identify where the scaffolding tools for students within their zone of proximal development could be used and then target their specific group learning goals. The students were then placed in these groups, and it follows a similar structure as previously, where each step or learning goal builds on the prior one. So you can't achieve level 5 or go to the ZPD of level 5 without achieving the ones previously. So students of the ZPD 5 have achieved all the previous standards and excelled past it, ready to be held to a higher standard. The curriculum links ranged from Year 5 through to the achievements targeted for the end of Year 6. This was due to a wide range of ability within my class, thus calling for a greater range of differentiation, and the students of ZPD 1 and 2 would need more explicit direct instruction before progressing onto the more individual work, whereas the higher ability students are able to create more complex narratives independently and able to go off and produce things on their own. Students will be able to independently use their learning to create a narrative that follows the traditional structure, being the orientation, complication, resolution, use figurative language throughout, explore how structure and language devices work together to engage the reader. They apply effective punctuation and spelling to support and clarify their narrative, and being able to edit their own and others' work throughout. The essential questions paired with the established goals that I've created for each ZPD group are imperative, as they allow me as the teacher to then check for understanding. So checking for understanding allows me to formatively assess my students' ability and therefore adapt my lesson sequence in order to meet the needs of those students. I don't want to progress too far forward without making sure that I have the core concepts down pat within these students, and then they can build upon them. The evidence is all about making sure that I have a summative task paired with my formative assessment to then see the results of my student learning. William in 2011 discusses how formative assessment should be directly tied to the learning objectives and used to guide instructional decisions. So as I am checking for understanding throughout and checking my students' current level, I can then adapt partly my expectation of the summative task, but also make timely adjustments to the students to ensure that I'm giving them the best chance to succeed. The lesson sequence. My teaching strategy that I'll be using is explicit direct instruction, as discussed by Fletcher in 2019, in narrative writing, because it's beneficial because it uses clear and unambiguous explanations and teacher modelling to break down the writing process into more manageable steps, and provides multiple guided and independent practice, which offers immediate feedback, which together helps all students regardless of their ability and builds on foundational skills that can achieve greater success in crafting effective narratives. So I'll be modelling writing techniques, I'll be establishing narrative foundations, and this lesson introduces the structure of narratives, being orientation, complication, resolution, and uses short storybook to highlight key features, engaging students and the stage for narrative writing. The different groups will be working on different things according to their level. Group 1 will be clear topic sentences. Group 2 will be adding explanations. Group 3 will be developing characters and settings. Group 4 will be choosing and planning themes. And Group 5, being the most proficient group, will be creating characters with inner and outer traits. And these goals provide clear scaffolded progression from basic to advanced in narrative elements. I'll also be able to adjust which group I'm working with, so having my explicit instruction with Group 1 in this lesson to make sure that they do have a clear understanding of what's being asked of them and what's expected, and then getting progressively more independent as you go throughout the groups. Students work in the small groups and pairs to brainstorm and plan and draft, using scaffolds and resources tailored to their needs, fostering collaboration and independence. And then they have a formative assessment and reflection, ongoing observations from me, anecdotal notes, and self-assessment being an exit ticket, allowing me to progress and monitor their progress and inform future instruction. Moving on to lesson 2, it's more about editing and refining, and this lesson shifts using the passage with intentional errors to highlight the importance of spelling and punctuation and sentence starters. So going through the beginning of this lesson, I'll be talking to them about how important those things are. And Group 1 will be adding supporting detail to their beginning. Group 2 using commas and full stops. Group 3 applying accurate spelling. Group 4 using precise words and actions and emotions. And then Group 5 is continuing to enhance meaning and clarity with punctuation. And these, again, build on each other. The peer feedback and editing, so students will swap and provide feedback to each other throughout this lesson. So the use of resources and technology as well in this lesson, as in students will use laptops and word walls and planning templates to research and refine their writing, supporting vocabulary development and independent learning. And I'll still formatively assess this with targeted support. So I'll be collecting their workbooks and assessing their progress, identify their strengths and areas for improvement, and then plan instruction for the future lesson. Lesson 5 will be about polishing and publishing these narratives. So the lesson focuses on final editing, reflection, and using a sample paragraph to discuss the strengths and areas of improvement. Each group will be refining the aspects depending on what they've been asked to do. So Group 1 will be summarising the main ideas and concluding sentences, being they're expected to build quite a basic task. Group 2 will be presenting their ideas clearly and with detail and punctuation. Group 3 will be combining character, setting and spelling. Group 4 will be maintaining clear themes and precise language. Group 5 will be writing immersive setting openings and tying all of their group together, their narrative together. These group goals build on the previous lessons, and then it allows them to have the opportunity to have a self-reflection, a written self-reflection afterwards that I can then collect to gain insight as to what the students, how they feel about it, and what they identify as their strengths or weaknesses within narrative writing. Their digital publishing and visual enhancement will be making a digital copy that they can attach images to help deepen their meaning. And this will be collected as a summative as well, where I can mark it against my rubric and then identify things in which I need to address in future lessons. And each lesson's group goals are then designed to build on those from the previous lessons, moving the students from understanding narrative structure and planning through to drafting and editing, to then finally refinement and publication, ensuring a comprehensive and a scaffold approach to narrative writing. How I track the learning progress throughout the entire task is by lots of checking for understanding. So constantly roaming around the classroom, having small group tasks with me, but also getting feedback from the students about what they understand. So by collecting their books at the end of the lesson, by getting their exit tickets, I'm then getting a good understanding of what they think that they can achieve. And assessment tasks allow students to demonstrate understanding in multiple ways. CAST's in 2018 UDL guidelines emphasise providing multiple means of action and expression so all learners can demonstrate what they know, that not two are going to have the same strengths, so giving them an opportunity to be able to provide something in which they can put forward to express what they do know. So that might be using multimodal means online. So I have a student who has dyslexia in this class, they can use talk to text to provide something, because I want to be able to give everyone the opportunity to express what they know. All throughout the process, I'll be using multiple means of formative assessment, being questioning for understanding throughout and anecdotal notes, my exit tickets by them putting their books in the novice through to expert tubs, how they identify their confidence, self-reflection boxes, and then the summative assessment by collecting their finalised and finished narrative throughout. So that is how I will track their learning and their development throughout this task, and then adjust how I teach and things that I need to adjust in future lessons.